Sunday morning, and I've just done a run down to Bunnings to pick up some cement bags. We already did all that concreting next to the carport area, so there was a space for the posts. I had stopped it, and it was mainly because we didn't want to cut off access around to the backyard. Instead of having a rather big sharp block at the end, my wife said, would I be able to do concrete around the back? Because I did want to do concrete at the back of the carport area, just to make it more of a block wall. We were going to use Besser blocks, but I may as well do it as concrete, because then the concrete can sort of lock in with the copper logs that are there now. So yesterday, and I'll show you this when I get up to the house, I started digging out a bit of a space where I want to have this concrete wall. And initially I thought it was just going to be at the end, but I didn't understand that my wife was saying no, I wanted to come around the corner. So I didn't have enough cement bags at the house. So I'll come down this morning and get more. I'll get back to the house, and my job now is to get the formwork done and hopefully get this pour done. So I ran out of time to do the formwork yesterday afternoon, because once it gets to a certain stage, it gets too cold to work outside and too dark early. Weather's beautiful, albeit cold, so I hope I can get it done. This is what I was trying to talk about this morning in the truck. Bringing it from here around the edge and then to here. Eventually it'll come across to about here, which will be in line with the retaining wall there. And I'll have to fill in this hole that I've got here to keep the pathway. But I've just got to get this all formed up. Okay, got my form together. Got the curve on it. I'll get a bit more bracing in there once I get the Rio in, so I'm going to go and cut all the Rio now. Get that in there. So form work done, Rio in, ready to go. See if I can get this pour done. Narrowly avoiding catastrophe, I'm hoping. In the wife's car, her phone holder's in a different spot to the truck. And I'm in the wife's car because when I went to drive the truck out of the driveway, I realised, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So I had to the Jeep was blocking the drive, and my wife said, just take the Jeep, rather than muck around with swapping the cars around. Of course, I'm this close to finishing the cement work, the concreting, and I realised I don't think I've got enough cement bags to finish the job. And Bunnings closed at 6, so I went, I can get down there before 6 and buy a few more bags to be safe. And then just as I was getting ready to leave, I go and get the key to the truck. One of the stakes on the corner where two pieces were joining, like two of my formwork skins were joining, split straight down the middle and started falling outwards. You're kidding, from the weight of the concrete, basically. I rushed around, found some metal stakes, some star pickets, hammered them in tight to try and get that formwork back up in the correct position, using up time that I needed to get down to Bunnings. I got to Bunnings, parked, grabbed a trolley, ran in, grabbed 3 bags of cement, rushed back to the checkout, paid, got it into the truck, back into the car, left with 6 minutes till they shut. The first thing I've got to do when I get back there is make sure that formwork is all pushed up right. Like you can see, it's dark. It's now 6. I thought I can get this done, but yeah, didn't calculate the volume of that concrete correctly. When I went down this morning, I grabbed 4 bags of cement, and at the time I was thinking, that should be alright. I should have just grabbed a few more, because I'm always using it. There's at least 2 more mixer loads that need to go in. Well, it's finished. You can see all my metal stakes in here now, holding it all together. These parts weren't coming apart, but they were being pushed out of it. That's why I put the stakes in. I've lost my really smooth curve because I've got some little bumps here. And this is where the form split, just there. There's only half of this peg left. It was about this thick and attached to that. So I've got a feeling I'm going to have a big odd piece here, which I might be able to fix up with a render. I'll just have to wait and see now. There's a fair bit of water that's come to the surface after I floated it. I've got to let it set up enough so that I can try doing the patterning on it. So I'm still going to have to do that tonight. Monday, just finished with year 10, trying to rehydrate some timber mates that have dried out. They were in the back of the cabinet. Lids were on properly, but just old, so putting a bit of water in them. They will end up soaking that water up and rehydrate them so they can be used. The Thor hammer, that's what it is now. Got that in, just letting that dry. One of the students was doing biscuit joints for his leg pieces today, and another one, there it is. Another one had glued his up, so his legs are in the clamps. I wondered where he put them. And the girl who was doing the jewellery box, she's decided she didn't like the two-tone look, so she's staining her box. We'll see how that all comes out when it's finished and dry. Student doing his wooden shoe. Got another staff member who's doing the ukulele, helping him out, trying to do some steam bending pieces to give that a go. So there is the aftermath of the formwork task. The students wanted to get it done so that they could say they've done the task. Have they done it to a competency standard? No, because they've just left everything lying around. They haven't restacked the materials. They've just undone it and left. There's a little bit of stacking here, but that is one of the quandaries of this course, because it's HSC and Cert 2. There's two levels of certificate that they can get. They can still get the HSC because they need to graduate without getting the full Cert 2. Because for a Cert 2 you've got to do everything to a set standard. With the HSC you need to make a substantial attempt and make sure that you do more than 50% of the course. While that was completed, the whole class wasn't here the whole time, but I think they were all involved at some point. No, it wasn't. There was a couple that have been away, and they just want to clear their inner wards. Anyway, I'm going to clean up a bit. Bit of an early finish for me today. Got a CT scan booked for my lower spine. So I'm trying to organise a cortisone injection down there around my nerves and bulging discs. And I needed updated scans because my last scans were a few years old. When I rang yesterday, they said they had a cancellation, so there was an appointment today. Been at school this morning, had year 12 for a double for timber. 2 showed up so they could try and get some work done to clear their inner wards, and they sat there and worked. A bit chatty, but they sat there and worked, and I was getting involved in the chat. But the one that has all his timber, he got some joints set out yesterday for the domino, and I thought for sure he would be here today. He wasn't. And the other one I think does a school-based traineeship, which takes him out some days. And then I had year 11 construction, chasing up one student that had moved since they did his white card course, and so he hasn't received his card, so he had to ring up to try and get it organised, and to try and get a replacement. And when he got off the phone, he said, they want me to pay $30 for a replacement. And I said, well, that's better than what it used to be. It used to be 50, and if you had to redo the course, that'd be 120. And all his mates were going, just pay the $30. And I had a few that there's one task in cluster A which can often get overlooked because it's not set out in the cluster, but it's in the national standard, and that's how to sharpen, hone, and set up a jack plane. Because with hand tools, a carpenter should be expected to be able to use a jack plane, because you're going to have to use it for trimming doors or windows, for fitting and that sort of thing. And that can often get really overlooked. And so I usually leave it towards the end of the cluster to make sure the students have done all the prac. And then I had 3 today that we got out the Tormac Waterstone and got them to take apart a plane, get the blade out, showed them how to set it up on the Tormac. They did a few passes of it. Now, I'm not trying to get them to get a mirror finish like you would for doing cabinetry or fine woodwork. Just getting it sharp enough so that it's actually going to plain timber on a construction site. And that's just basically making sure they get a clean regrind on the bevel, on the blade. And these 3 guys, once I showed them how to set it up, they did it. I told them to check it every now and then, and they checked it. And when they had a nice clean new bevel, they took it out, set it back up in the plane, got it all dialed in so the blade was just protruding, checked it on a little scrap piece. Perfect. So that's 3 that did that. Cluster A is due this Friday. One student already handed me his cluster booklet. I've got to mark it. And the other 2, they took theirs so they can try and finish it off. Trying to organise work placement with them. which is in 2 weeks' time. We've got a specific website for organising work placements. There's a company that liaises with businesses in the construction field. So they're the middleman. They organise all our offers, and I've got to match up students, and I talk to the students, which one would you like to go to? Do you want to go on one on your own or one with another person? They often want to go out together because they're nervous about going out on their own. So far I've got, I think, 7 kids booked in for work placement out of a class of 19. Morning. It's Thursday. The east coast of Australia got hit by a polar blast yesterday. It caused snow out on the western side of the mountains and down south and that sort of thing. And there's a chance, if it hasn't already, that it's going to be snowing up the top of the mountains at Katoomba today, which is why it's cold. Apparently at the house it's going to reach a top of 5 degrees or 36. At work it's only going to reach a top of 8:41, and up at Katoomba a top of 2, like 34 degrees. So it's a little bit chillier today. It was 3 when I left the house. I've got 11 construction first up, and I really need to get the last of them signed up for a work placement, like onto a work placement, because I think if I don't get them today, the company that runs it will end up locking the lists and won't let anyone else on. And it's not just the one at the end of term, it's also the one week 2 when we come back that I think she's going to lock. Because if we tried to wait until when we got back, it'd be too late to do it, because you have to ring them in that week, and paperwork needs to go home and get signed and come back, and there's a lot of processes in the lead up to it, just to cover the kids, the family, the business, the school legally. And then I've got 12 timber later in the day. I really hope they show up. It's Friday Arvo. School's just finished. Had year 12 and they've packed up. We're this close to getting cluster D finished. The guys who are in here were doing their step formwork, so getting that done. Sort of that little rough sketch to help them out. They've started cluster E, and I was going to try and get them to do the surveying outside, but they got focused on this, which was fair enough. So we've got a long weekend, 3-day. Next time I've got them is Wednesday, so we'll do that Wednesday. I've got them twice on Wednesday. We're all also in a panic because cluster E was due today. Cluster D is overdue, and I said I could give you a little bit of leeway with E because we haven't done much of it, especially the prac. Year 11's cluster A was due today, and they were madly trying to get the booklet done. Some of them forgetting that they still have to do the prac. But I've got 4 students who've completed 3 that have completed all of the prac, 1 other that's almost done all the prac, and out of the 3 that have done the prac, 2 of them have also done the booklet, so I'll have to mark those and see how they go. I'll probably do a little bit of that marking before I leave, but I'll just lock up here and head over to the staff room. Bit out of order, but as I talked about period 5, had year 12 period 1, and they were basically just working on the theory part of their cluster booklets, trying to work through those. And I did have a few of the students hand me their cluster booklets to either do a first mark or a double mark on one of the old ones that they had to do corrections on. Year 11, a couple of students who'd done everything, and they actually gave me a hand by helping to clear out some of the stuff that I've been sorting throughout in the construction space, and there was a pile of stuff that was just trash. It needed to go to the bins, and so they used trolleys and that sort of stuff to try and move stuff downwards and down into the bins, and they did a really good job of that. Had their vests on, had their boots on, took real good care doing it, and did it really sensibly, which was awesome, without complaint or anything like that. I think they just preferred the fact that they weren't having to just sit around in the room with the other guys, because they've already done it all and completed it, so that was good. I just spent some time after work then marking the year 12 ones to get them checked and out of the way, because I've got a big wad of the year 11 ones which I should be able to check on first day back Tuesday. I've got year 11 for a double in the morning. Just dawned on me that I should have had cluster B ready to go. I won't be able to give that to them till Wednesday. I'll have to think about that sort of stuff over the weekend. See, because one of the things with construction or with any vet course is they say we're not supposed to download our cluster assessments until just before you're going to give them to the students, just in case they come up with a new version. Like if, just say I went and downloaded cluster A and B at the start of the year, and then they made amendments to B and I didn't know about it, my students would be doing the wrong cluster. So you're meant to leave it, but not forget about it. So I'll have to have a look at that. I don't think it would have changed, but I really don't know. But I can, because we have to customize it to our course, to our students, so I'll download that and get it ready, and I might put maybe Wednesday's date as the date that it's being handed out or something like that. I could go through it on the main screen with them on the Tuesday. I'll play that by ear, I think, because there will be, I think it's about 5 or 6 kids going out on work placement the week after, and then it'll be holidays for 2 weeks.